ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਆਫ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਪੀਅਰ ਪੋਲੀਅਵ ਨੇ ਅੱਜ ਇੱਥੇ ਫੂਡ ਬੈਂਕ ਸਾਈ ਧਾਮ ਫੂਡ ਬੈਂਕ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਅਨਾਉਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਬਜਟ ਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਫਿਕਸ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਏਗਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਪਲਾਨ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਗੌਰਮੈਂਟ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ। ਬਜਟ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਕਸ ਮੀਨਸ ਬਜਟ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬ੍ਰੋਕਨ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਔਰ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਫਿਕਸ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਪਲਾਨ ਤੇ, ਔਰ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨਸ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਟੈਕਸ ਕੱਟ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਪੂਰੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ।
I want you to note that I'm being serenaded by some beautiful birds who are in the rafters over there. I'm hoping you're catching that audio. I want to thank this wonderful food bank, Vishal and his entire team of volunteers for the incredible work they are doing to feed the hungry. I understand, Vishal, that Saidam Food Bank had 10,000 people it was serving in 2020, and that number has gone up to 70,000. Incredible. 2020 was the year when Mark Carney became economic advisor to Justin Trudeau. How's it been going? Apparently, Mr. Trudeau's been following his advice, but it goes the other way too. Yesterday, Carbon Tax Carney announced that he was going to repeat the exact same promise that Justin Trudeau made in 2015 on budgets. Get this. In 2015, Justin Trudeau said, and I quote, he will run 3 small deficits, tiny deficits. Remember that? And that would fund the largest infrastructure investment in Canadian history to help the middle class and grow the economy. What has been the result? Well, those 3 deficits turned into 9 deficits. $25 billion of new debt turned into $700 billion of new debt. The debt, in fact, doubled in that time. And the middle class, 80% of them are paying more income taxes. None of them can afford a home. And we've had the worst economic growth in the G7. That is the result of the promise that Trudeau made 10 years ago. And now Mark Carney is promising 3 small deficits, which he says will somehow cause economic growth and help the middle class. My friends, this is déjà vu all over again. Carney has the same advisors, the same MPs, the same ministers, and making the same liberal promises that Trudeau made a decade ago, but he expects Canadians to be duped for a 4th time. Mr. Carney has been Trudeau's economic advisor for the last 5 years, and the only difference between Carney and Trudeau is that Carney is now making a promise to cook the books. He's planning to cook the books with a sneaky accounting trick to take billions of dollars of new Liberal spending off the budget records altogether. To be clear, this is not simply about differentiating between investments and spending. We already have that. It's called accrual accounting. Anybody who's taken a high school course in accounting knows that that means that capital expenditures are amortized over the life of the asset they purchase. That exists in the federal budgeting already. What Mr. Carney is talking about is taking tens of billions of dollars of new spending off the books, hiding it from Canadians so that he can artificially lower the deficits that people see reported. But that doesn't mean that Canadians won't have to pay the price. In fact, every single dollar the government spends is paid for by Canadian taxpayers, either through taxes today or inflation and debt tomorrow. Mr. Carney's promise will be that the operating budget will somehow balance while limitlessly spending inflationary dollars on pork barrel spending, pet projects, and liberal waste in order to reverse disastrous electoral consequences that the Liberals now face. Carbon Tax Carney cannot change the fact that money will come out of the pockets of the Canadian people. There's no magic to this. Every dollar government spends comes out of Canadians' pockets. Mr. Carney has not identified a single program from Justin Trudeau that he would cancel. On top of that, he has announced billions, if not tens of billions of dollars of additional spending he would tack on top of the current Liberal government's spending. My friends, you cannot get a change from the Liberal government by electing a Liberal government. A 4th Liberal term in office will be just like the previous 3. It'll mean higher taxes, higher housing costs, more food bank lineups, raging crime in our streets. Only common sense Conservatives will fix the budget for real. We will cut bureaucracy, consultants, corporate welfare, foreign aid, and other wasted money. We will also bring in a new dollar for dollar law that runs the finances of the country like small businesses, seniors, and single moms run their budgets. Very simple. A new dollar of spending would have to be matched with a dollar of savings. You want to spend more over here, you have to spend less over there. And that will be passed into a law, the dollar for dollar law. We will bring down deficits, income taxes, and inflation. We will get rid of the carbon tax. We will lower income taxes. We will take the GST off new homes to save up to 50 grand on the purchase of a house so that our young people can afford a place to live like they could before the Carney-Trudeau Liberals doubled housing costs. We will pass a big, beautiful, bring-it-home tax cut on work, investment, savings, home building, and making stuff in Canada. The purpose will be to bring home the $500 billion of investment that the Carney-Trudeau Liberals have driven out of our country to the United States of America. I want that money in our country for our people. That's what it means to bring it home. We're going to bring it home to our country. We're going to put Canada first, Canada always, Canada forever. Thank you.
Questions from the floor?
Why aren't you accepting questions from all media?
Hello, Mr. Poilievre, Noah Jarvis to North. In response to the imposition of American tariffs by President Donald Trump, Canadians have taken to booing the American national anthem at sporting events. We saw this at the first Four Nations Face-Off event, which you attended. Some argue that the booing is justified, while others argue that it is disrespectful. So, at the next Four Nations Face-Off match and at future sporting events, should Canadians boo the American anthem or refrain from doing so?
I would focus on cheering on Canadians. I want Canadians to win. I enjoyed the game. Unfortunately, did not enjoy the outcome when I sat down with my little boy, Cruz. It was his first in-person hockey game, and my wife, Anna, was there. My retirement plan is for little Cruz to become an NHL hockey player, so we wanted to get him started early on that. I would just encourage everyone to remember that our disagreement is not with the American people, it's with the American president's unjustified threats of tariffs. And let's focus on building our own country up. You know, Mark Carney took his headquarters out of Canada. The media has been covering this up. The first thing he did after Trump won re-election was to take his headquarters, his corporate headquarters, and send it to New York. So he doesn't have to pay all the taxes that he and Mr. Trudeau have been imposing on business here in Canada. I will do the exact opposite of Carney. I will bring the jobs home to this country and put our country first. Thank you.
Thank you. Next
Why
question.
aren't you taking questions from all media here today?
This is Shubi from Our Media. Canadians are looking for a prime minister to show them leadership. So how is Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's plan and Liberal leader different to the Liberal leader candidate Mark Carney's plan? How's it different?
En français aussi.
Oui, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. So here's the difference. Mark Carney, who has been Justin Trudeau's economic advisor for the last 5 years, would bring in tens of billions of dollars of new spending. He would bring in a massive post-election carbon tax on Canadian industry that will drive jobs to the south of the border. He would continue with the policies that have doubled housing costs, doubled food bank use over the last 9 years. Electing a fourth Liberal government in a row will not change what the previous 3 Liberal governments did. You need a new, common sense Conservative government that will pass a massive bring-it-home tax cut that will to incentivize bringing back the $500 billion of investment Liberals drove to the United States so that Canadians can build factories, pipelines, mines, LNG plants, technology, and countless other assets that generate income for our people on this side of the border. We will go from having the worst economic growth in the G7 under Carney-Trudeau over the last 5 years to having the best economic growth in the G7. We will repeal the unconstitutional No New Pipelines Law, C-69, so that we can take back control of our energy and our resources. We can ship Canadian energy to Canadian workers, to Canadian businesses in this country we all call Canada. Liberals will drive jobs and investment away. Conservatives will put Canada first. We have to cut waste and mismanagement in this country. After 10 years of the Carney-Trudeau Liberals, they've increased government spending by 80%. They've increased the debt by over 100%. And much of it has gone to waste. For example, almost nobody watches CBC television. They have among the worst ratings of any network. And yet Trudeau gives them billions more. We're going to cut wasteful spending, not just there, but across the government to bring down inflation, deficits, and taxes. That's common sense. Now let's bring it home. But what I've made clear is that we have to reverse the hate and division that has been unleashed in this country over the last 10 years. The radical woke agenda that Justin Trudeau instituted and that Mark Carney has said explicitly he wants to continue has divided our people. He's broken people up into different ethnic, religious, cultural groups and turned them against each other. Liberals have deliberately divided community against community for electoral gain. And they have put in place an ideology that obsesses about every single possible ethnocultural division. And what is the result? A 251% increase in violent hate crime under this last decade of the Trudeau-Carney Liberals. So I will end that radical woke ideology. I will treat every single Canadian equally. We will cut off the funds that have gone to anti-Semitic groups and to other hate mongers. We will pass tough new laws that punish people who vandalize or attack places of worship. We will deport foreign nationals who are in this country that engage in violence or law-breaking of any kind, including anti-Semitic violence. And we will ban every single terrorist group that's operating here. We'll find and deport all of the IRGC thugs. There are apparently 700 IRGC thugs who are in Canada today, operating with impunity, who are not citizens. They're spending the stolen money that they took from the Iranian people while they instigate divisions on our grounds in this country. They will be kicked out of this country. We're going to put our country first. And finally, our approach is going to be that we are all Canadians. Every Canadian will be Canadian first. We can come from anywhere in the world. You can have any religious background you want. At the end of the day, we need a common identity with a common loyalty that puts that flag above everything else. Well, I noticed that Mr. Carney uses a lot of slogans. He has been sloganeering his entire leadership campaign while I've been laying out real concrete policy plans. For example, his only two announcements on policy have been slogans. One, he wants to rename the carbon tax. And two, he wants to rename spending. The irony is that his record as part of the Trudeau government as the top economic advisor has been to spend more and invest less. Investment has crashed under the Carney-Trudeau Liberals, while spending has exploded. That is the actual record. It is the opposite of his slogan. We have, right now, today in Canada, 55 cents of investment per worker for every dollar the American worker gets. So this is the record after Carney-Trudeau. An American worker gets $28,000 of investment per year. A Canadian worker gets $15,000 of investment per year, both measured in American dollars. What does that mean? It means the American worker is getting more machines, more technology, bigger and better factories than his Canadian counterpart, so that even though the Canadian worker is better, he has worse tools. That is because investment has collapsed under the Carney-Trudeau Liberals. In the 5 years Carney has been Trudeau's advisor on economic matters, $500 billion of Canadian investment has left to the States more than has come back. And that means American workers are getting better off and our economy is being left in the dust. I will repeal the Carney-Trudeau No New Pipelines Law C-69. I will make this the fastest place in the OECD to get a building permit. I will slash taxes on work, investment, savings, energy, home building, and making stuff in Canada so that we can bring home the hundreds of billions of dollars of investment for new machines, tools, technology, home building. We're going to unleash a massive boom in this country that will boost paychecks, and it will also bring home the Canadian promise that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful home on a safe street, protected by solid borders and brave soldiers under a proud flag. Let's bring it home.